I'm told we're live. We're going to assume that I am. Welcome to Healthcare Triage Live. There will be much discussion of Pokemon today because, first of all, I got to keep doing the thing here. And I would show you a screenshot of like how crazy it is here, but I don't want to give away the secret location of Healthcare Triage. But there's like 3 Pokestops right here. Anyway, also I warn you right now, if an Eevee shows up, the whole thing's going to pause because I got to get that Eevee. Other than that, we will have a normal healthcare triage. Thank you for tuning in. The usual stuff, go check us out on facebook.com/healthcare triage. Thanks as always for support at patreon.com/healthcare triage. We've taken a week or 2 off, so I'm going to jump right in. Jared Mitchell asks, Transcendental Meditation makes some wacky claims. An interesting claim that TM is more effective than other forms of meditation. Is there any merit to this? So, first of all, I agree with you that some of the stuff like tumor prevention is wacky. I might not use that's not technically the jargon I might not use, but it is unproven, we shall say. But there is some evidence that meditation does work for some things, especially things like anxiety or for some mental health issues. And there, even randomized controlled trials. So the difference between what people will say about transcendental meditation and others, they will often claim, and they'll say that there's more merit. Sometimes what they're referring to is that TM is often the most studied one. That is the type of meditation that gets the most trials, the most rigorous trials. And so there's probably more evidence about TM out there than other forms of meditation, but there are no comparative effectiveness trials that I know looking at TM versus other forms of meditation. So to say it's proven better is probably closer to truth. To say that it is better is not the same thing because, of course, there haven't been those types of studies. So how do you talk about meditation? It's like, I have friends that I often argue with because they will go crazy. Well, I just shouldn't have said that, but like they will get very active and angry about the idea that I'm being down in meditation. I'm just ready to say it up to the point at which it's been proven. I think it was Dan Harris who wrote a book about meditation, and I think it was called 10% Better. And his argument was like, it's not going to like cure tumors, but it made his life 10% better. And I've often thought like that's reasonable. That's a good way of looking at it. If you can do something that makes your life 10% better, that's awesome, but that's not the same as curing cancer. But TM versus other types of meditation, I don't know that there's really a lot of comparative data out there. GNUs, not Unix. GNUs, not Unix. Why does it seem like American dentists are so intent on removing wisdom teeth? Do most people really need this procedure? So, okay, why do you think so many dentists are eager to remove your teeth? So the problem is that in the United States, we have gazillions of people who get their wisdom teeth out, often on the advice of dentists, and the evidence base for this is relatively thin. That the vast majority of people who probably get those don't really need them. I had my wisdom teeth removed. Do I need to have them? I don't know. I don't think my wife ever did. So we have a lot of people who do get their wisdom teeth removed that probably don't need it. Why? Well, of course, financial incentives are aligned to make them do that. The more the dentists remove wisdom teeth, they get paid. If they don't, they don't. So there's certainly the financial incentive is in line. There are lots of dentists that believe that that's necessary too, probably because they see the bad outcomes and therefore their worldview of what wisdom teeth can do to you gets maligned or sort of gets biased in the direction of removing those wisdom teeth. There's a lot of articles. I keep meaning to get to this in terms of a healthcare triage. It's probably worth doing maybe even an upshot column or something someday. But we will definitely should talk about it because I do have some papers that I pulled on the evidence base and that have been sent to me on the evidence base for some of these dental procedures, and it's really, really weak. You can make the same argument about often the films. Ironically enough, I'm going to the dentist this afternoon. I'm sure he's going to tell me I need x-rays, and I'm going to have to debate whether I have an argument about it or not. But why are they removing them? Partially because of bias and what they see, partially because of money. They believe they're doing good. We could probably do a better job. Ernie Moore 1. Healthcare triage. Is sugar addictive? Is sugar addictive? Behavioral addiction? Is sugar addictive? Well, you just asked the same question so many times. Anyway, what do you mean by addictive? Do people become dependent on it? I don't know that that's the case. But you can become addicted, as you've noted, behaviorally addicted to things. We become used to the taste. And therefore we want it in many other things. So does it have sort of a behavioral addiction? I'm sure there's some component to that. Is it addictive in the sense that you'll go through withdrawal if you don't have it? I don't know. I wouldn't put it up there with heroin. And recently I've been trying a low-carb diet, which meant basically I'm really not having sugar recently. And I haven't noticed like any kind of addiction or anything else, and so any kind of problems or anything else. So I I would say if there is an addictive thing to it, it's probably more behavioral. I know there are people that make that real argument, that think it should be regulated like a drug. That's going a little bit far for many people. So, no, not addictive in the sense of withdrawal probably. Mike Wilson. I saw your recent healthcare triage news about applying sunscreen. I was wondering, does sunscreen expire? If I have a bottle left over from last summer, would it still be okay to use? Excellent question, Mike Wilson. I believe that most manufactured sunscreen, especially in the United States, but I would guess probably worldwide, is made to last 3 years, which means that you can definitely use it from year to year. It is also very likely that the sunscreen bottle has an expiration date on it, if you look carefully, and I bet it's like 3 years. And so what about after 3 years? Well, then you might be taking more of a chance. I wouldn't say like in 3 years in a day it's guaranteed to have gone bad, but if you're using it correctly, you probably should go through the bottle within 3 years. Because as you remember, you should be using like an ounce per application, multiple applications every time you go out, you're going to go through a bottle of sunscreen. But don't worry about it year to year. If it's within a year, it should absolutely still be good. Even if it's within 2 years, up to 3 years, absolutely it should still be good. Thomas Beard asks, I'm a young adult in decent health, but I've been having dizzy spells from time to time. Doctor did blood work and it looked normal. How concerned should I be? Is it normal for coffee to cause it? Okay, first of all, I should start with the lawyer Mark here thing by saying we don't give out personalized health information on healthcare triage. You should talk to a healthcare professional. I can't diagnose and or treat you from a distance with no physical exam and no full history or anything else. My God, there's a lot of Pidgeys around right now. No EVs, and it's really annoying me. So I can't tell you why you, Thomas Beard, are having dizzy spells. If they did blood work, I don't even know what they were trying to look for. How concerned should you be? Did you talk to your doctor? I don't know. So, there's such a huge differential of what dizzy spells could be. It could be that you're just standing up too fast. Some people have that. They're just hypotensive, meaning their blood pressure's not on the low side. And so when they stand up real fast, there's just a quick second before your blood takes over. Your brain gets a little freaked out because all of a sudden the blood pressure drops and I don't know. But you need to talk to your doctor. I can't tell you what's wrong for it. I don't know why you jumped on the idea that is it normal for coffee to cause it? Why coffee? Are you worried about the caffeine? Because caffeine in general would likely, if anything, raise your blood pressure, not lower it. So I don't know if that would necessarily be the cause. But I'm not your doctor. What do I know? You should go talk to a healthcare professional. Zoji Rushi, in the sodium video, it suggested adverse effects for sodium consumption lower than 3 grams. What sort of people fall into this category? Are they from poor countries? Thanks. No! Poor people can get a lot of salt in their diet. In America, it's hard. You got to actively try not to get 3 grams of sodium, people would say, in your diet, because sodium is put into almost everything that we eat. It is usually people actively trying to eat a super low sodium diet who get down into that range. That takes usually some resources because, there's sodium in just about anything you can get. Now, I guess if you entirely raised your own fruits and vegetables and you didn't buy any foods, and then you could get to a low sodium diet. But this is not a socioeconomic thing where the richer people get more sodium and poorer people do not. Lots of people would argue it's the opposite. The people with means can actually have more control over their diet and try to get to a low sodium diet than people with lesser means. But it's not poor countries, rich countries thing. Those studies that we talk about would suggest that the 3 to 6 grams is the sweet spot. That you get less than that, you get more than that, you start having problems. Of course, again, talk to your healthcare professional about what the best diet is for you. You got to figure out what your own. So there are people who should be on low sodium diets. Those people have good reason to do so, and they should listen to their doctors and do what they say. So don't take any of that. But this is definitely not a rich poor thing. Reginald, HWB92. Anyone know what the deal is with microwave popcorn? I was eating some in front of my mother-in-law the other day, and she told me it was going to give me cancer. I'm naturally suspicious of those claims, but a cursory internet search brought up articles on diacetyl, PFOA, TBHQ, popcorn lung, etc. None seem very convincing, but I'm curious if anyone has good evidence one way or the other. When we were putting this up, we were curious if your mother-in-law is the same as the mother-in-law that's worried about that guy's testicles all the time. Anyway, and if you're watching, Testicle Guy, we love you too. You're one of our best people. I can't remember your name. I apologize. So the fact that you did a quick internet search and brought up articles on these things makes me laugh in the sense that, like, that's exactly what you don't want to do. You really want to do proper research on this. So with first of all, popcorn, of course, you could get a popcorn wedged, or, you could have one. It could cause problems. Popcorn is not killing people like left and right. People, I guess, are talking about the chemicals, but everything's a chemical. It's all molecular structures. Everything's a chemical. It's such a weird thing for people to get obsessed about. You do worry about stuff that could be carcinogenic, but, there's nothing especially dangerous about microwave popcorn. If it was, we would get rid of it. This is the thing that I always get so frustrated about. If I knew, but research was showing you something was causing cancer, why would I not tell you about it? Like I talk about putting on sunscreen all the time. I talk about, taking care of yourself. We talk about the dangers of smoking and lung cancer. Do you think I've been bought off by big microwave pop? I mean, it's just insane. So there's no real solid evidence that this is like a real scourge or something that has a super high risk that you should do. Everything, of course, moderation. Don't be eating like huge amounts of anything, because anything in a huge amount is probably bad for you and could theoretically, I guess, increase your risk of getting cancer. But there's nothing, I promise you, the day that we really figure out that microwave popcorn or the chemicals of microwave popcorn are truly dangerous for you, I will put it on healthcare triage. We will scream it from the rooftops. The microwave popcorn we strip from the shelves, and no one will want to eat it anymore. That is not true. Your mother-in-law probably read something on the internet, perhaps the same things you just read about, and is therefore repeating it to you. And I'm sure she has your best interest at heart. But I don't know of any good evidence that would say that this is that much more of a risk than sort of anything else you're coming into contact with in general. Tina Glass. I was wondering whether you've seen any research on phimosis in the elderly. I've worked with several patients who've had it. Just curious if that's normal for the uncircumcised elderly. Thanks. God, I can't believe you just tricked me into talking about circumcision again. No. The short answer is I don't know of any research that specifically looks at phimosis in the elderly and whether or not they have been circumcised or uncircumcised. I'm sure now that I've just uttered the word, my Twitter account is now going to be full for the rest of the day of people screaming and yelling at me, as will the healthcare triage comment sections. Perhaps someone can tell me to F you or F myself again, or whatever it was, just because we brought it up. Thanks for playing. I don't know of any evidence. The Pretenders asks, has there been any study initiated that Pokemon Go has had a positive effect on blood sugar levels or other values? Seems like a great opportunity to study the effects of exercise. Okay, first of all, no, because how would they have done Pokemon Go's been out for like a couple weeks. They could not possibly have organized the research, have gotten IRB approval, and started collecting data and looked into this. Look, I love Pokemon Go. I am not nearly the Pokemon Go player that like Stan is, or let alone Mark is here. Evidently, Mark is the greatest Pokemon Go player on the face of the earth. He's level 52. I didn't even know that was possible. But of course, they're sitting in the promised land of Pokemon. Regardless, I'm very skeptical of any of these studies that have ever tried to show that X video game is going to do it. I mean, when the Wii came out and people were playing tennis, everybody thought that was going to make a big difference. When, what was that dance one? Dance Dance Revolution. When Dance Dance Revolution came out, I can't tell you how many studies I saw in the literature. All of a sudden, Dance Dance Revolution is going to cure obesity. The truth of the matter is that I think the vast majority of people who are up on the go, trying to collect the Pokemon, are people who are already reasonably active. The people that I see camped outside the healthcare triage studios, who are like going crazy, are all reasonably fit, amazingly enough. I'm not seeing a ton of like morbidly obese people walking around. And also, it's like, I'm not sure that anything is going to change it. Having said that, I'd be thrilled if something like Pokemon Go, truly got people up and active and walking around. My experience has been it gets us to move to where the Pokestop is, and then we sort of camp out. It has made me slightly more likely to want to walk to Marsh to get my lunch, because I walk up and down the canal, which is, by the way, the greatest thing. I work like on the canal in Indianapolis, and so it's littered with Magikarp, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to get 400 of those, and I'm going to upgrade that Magikarp, and it's going to be glorious. But there's, I've already upgraded my Staryu because I'm closer to water. So it makes me slightly more likely. Does that mean it's making America slightly more likely? I don't know. Does that mean my blood sugar's better? Probably not, but my blood sugar was pretty good to begin with. So, and also, how long is this going to last? I think it is a great opportunity to study the effects of exercise. I would agree with you. I will also say that by the time we can actually get a study up and running and do the data, we will have all moved on from Pokémon Go to the next great thing. That's the thing. It's like by the time the Dance Dance Revolution studies came out, no one knew what Dance Dance Revolution was anymore. By the time people were talking about the Wii and the tennis, no one was doing that anymore. We will have moved on by the time we get research in place, collect the data, do the analysis, get it published in the peer-reviewed literature. It is very likely that we will all have moved on from Pokemon Go. 13 and there's still no freaking EVs. 13 peeps. I'm curious, are vaccination and booster shot due dates different for every person or totally generic? Does missing the date by a week, month, year, blah, blah, blah change their effectiveness? So, no, they're certainly not person dependent. We have very clear CDC guidelines on whether we should give the shots. Like for a lot of them, it's like 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year. And and we have actually guidelines for delayed shots. Like if you miss a shot, how do we catch you up? It is not person dependent. It is the opposite of it. We have grossly general guidelines about when to immunize infants, children, adults, everything else. And so missing the date by a week, month, year after usually has very little effect other than giving you a chance of being, susceptible for a period of time. But if you get a shot before, we will often discount it and say like it must be at least, in other words, when I say 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, there are times you're supposed to wait between the shots before you get the next one. If you don't wait long enough before you get the next one, we will often make you repeat that shot. So too short is sometimes a problem. Too long, less a problem with the vaccination being good, more a problem is it leaves you more susceptible for a period of time. Petrocharta cesorium. Does the use of aluminum products increase the chance of getting Alzheimer's? No! Just in the same way it doesn't increase the chance you're getting breast cancer because there's aluminum inside the deodorant, and the deodorant's going to clog your pores, and next thing you know, you're going to get breast cancer because it's backing up. No. No. Sorry, that's my son calling me. He's never going to take no for an answer. I bet you it's going to ring again. No, it does not. And plus, it's like, what do you mean the use of aluminum products? Besides aluminum foil, what are you using? Deodorant. Oh my God, is that what we're back? No. Did I call that or what? You know what? We're going to embarrass him right now. Hello? Oh, maybe he hung up. Maybe he figured out. He knows where I am. No, it's not. No. Joe Cheung, why is it so hard to install universal healthcare system? Have you been watching the convention the last few nights? And go watch the Democratic convention too. Did you watch the Bernie Sanders Hillary Clinton fights? This isn't even a Democratic Republican thing. It took a monumental effort. 60 senators, a majority in the House and a president of the United States, and losing control of probably both houses of Congress to pass the Affordable Care Act, which, regardless of what you've heard, is an incremental fix using private health insurance and the Medicaid to fix our health care. Nowhere near universal health care system. Look at what that took. There is one senator currently in favor of Medicare for all, as far as I know, in the United States. And he was running for president, and if he'd won, there would have been 0 senators in favor of Medicare for all, which meant it has a 0% chance of getting changed. It's just so politically charged in the United States that it's what can we do? I mean, it's like I'm not opposed to a single payer healthcare system, and in the same way, I'm not opposed to any healthcare system or any changes that would improve our access, quality, or cost. But it's like so politically charged and so difficult to do, and just wishing it doesn't make it so. If you want, let's say you want a universal healthcare system like Medicare for all, that means you need to get 60 senators voted in, many of which are going to have to come from conservative states because there just aren't that many blue states. So get a majority of the House, get a president who supports it, and get 60 senators on board, and that's when you can flip the switch and make it happen. Until then, that's why it's so hard. It's so, man, they're still trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act and pull that back. We're still fighting about that battle, even though that was like 2009, 2010. It's 2016. It's hard, our political system. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I throw up my arms. It's very hard. C. Mousers, as an MD and parent, what is your stance on spanking for behavior modification? Well, that is a great question. And we should probably do the whole 9 yards on this. So, I don't personally spank. I don't. I don't know. It's just not for me. Having said that, I actually have friends and fellow physicians who do spank their children. And I've learned, as with many things in life, it's a do you want to be right, do you want to be happy thing. There are different parenting styles. There are different things. I do not think that the evidence supports the use of spanking. I don't think that, but I also think that the evidence base is pretty weak. I think that there are probably right and wrong ways to spank if you're going to use it. And there certainly are lines that get crossed in terms of abuse, but it's like, if you're asking me as a personal parent, I don't spank. If you're asking me as a pediatrician, I would tell parents that I don't think that the evidence base is very strong to support spanking. Is it something I would rail on parents about or fire them? No. Huge amounts of parents in this country spank and are also excellent parents. And so, I as with many other things, now of course, having said that, we're going to get yelled at all day as well, because people are going to say that that you wanted, that therefore I support the beating of children, which of course I don't. I'm a pediatrician, and I think that, as I said before, I think the evidence in support of it is quite weak. However, when the evidence is for something is weak, that we often sort of allow parents to make their own choice. Certainly, there are lines to be crossed, and people get very charged about this. So I talk about it with my patients. I offer them all of the options, and I talk about the pros and cons, and then often it is up to them. Last question for the day. What is the reason that I became Dear Surfer motivated me to become a doctor? That's a good question, man. There's no doubt in my mind that the original impetus was that my dad was a doctor, and that I feel like I was conditioned from birth to become a doctor. I joke all the time. It's like, if you look at my Halloween pictures from when I was a kid, I was always dressed in scrubs. I didn't somebody put me in scrubs. And I was on a track, and I probably wound up becoming a doctor. And then when I got to medical school, I all of a sudden started to have second thoughts about is this really what I wanted to do? Did I really want to be a doctor? And especially in residency, I realized that being a doctor, wasn't for me. And I became a pediatrician in part because it was I felt childhood illness was innocent, and I enjoyed sort of a lot of the parenting stuff. And I liked talking to kids more. I liked dealing with kids. But then I get so frustrated with the healthcare system that I decided I would rather spend my time trying to fix the system than trying to fix individual disease. And that's why I became a health services researcher. The difficult part is that when I look back, I love what I do so much that I don't know any other pathway to get here. And so if people say to me, would you go to medical school again? Would you go through it again? The answer is probably I don't know. I guess a yes. Because again, this is how I get to this point. But I was not one of those people that knew and was sure and then was validated and that I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to cure disease. I wanted to help people. I was always more interested in I want to fix the system. I was interested more in the, God, this will sound terrible, but make the world a better place kind of thing. Than I was the individually make bonds with patients. And become their doctor. I don't do as much of that. That was a very complicated answer. Probably more than you wanted to know. Regardless, we're out of time. And I did not get one single Eevee the entire time I've been sitting here. I have, however, redone the Pokespots a number of times. If I didn't get to your question, we'll try to get to it next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, check out our weekly videos. News will be great. Next week, Healthcare Triage is going to be good. What is next week? I can't remember. I don't even know. What's next episode? Was that? Telemedicine. With the help of my good friend and colleague, Austin Frack. And then this week's news is on, I just filmed it, it's on Medicaid expansion and what has happened with respect to that. Check us out at patreon.com/healthcare triage. Anything, is it healthcare triage or HC triage? I can't remember. Healthcare Triage. Anything you can do to support us, we appreciate. Facebook.com/healthcare triage. Check us out on all the other places we are. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.